Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we'll be reviewing 50 model airports, all from my subscribers. As many of you know, I have finished replicating the real-life Denver International Airport, as you can see. So I feel like I know a thing or two about building model airports. So we'll be reviewing 50 different model airports, and I will be offering a suggestion on how to improve the airport, as well as something that they mastered that looks really good on their model airport. And at the end of the video, I'll be ranking first, second, and third place out of all the model airports submitted. Let's dive right in. Beginning with our first airport, we have Orr International Airport by VPS Aviation. Something that I think was really mastered on this model airport is the ground markings. There was a lot of detail that went into each terminal's ground markings and the overall tarmac. My suggestion for this model airport is adding more GSE, maybe even 1/400 scale people. That will help the airport come to life. Next up, we have Pacific Northwest International Airport by PMW_International. What I think was really mastered at this airport is the ground markings as well as the plethora of GSE. There's a lot of GSE scattered around the airport. And my suggestion for this model airport would be adding the little 1/400 scale people. I think that would go really well with your GSE. Next up, we have FLIA Airport by Flightline Command. This airport is a really well-designed homemade airport. That's why I like the ground markings so much. I think some room for improvement would be some nice Gemini Jets jetways, as well as some GSE scattered around the airport. Moving right along to the next airport, we have Cape Fear International Airport by Wood Aviation P2D. I really like this homemade airport, and I think the ground markings really help the airport come to life, and overall it looks very good. But I think the models itself are very diverse, which makes the airport look great. Something that I think is room for improvement would be the terminal detail, maybe adding some windows or something else along those lines, a different colored paint, as well as jetways to go along with that. As many of you know, I have a long ongoing partnership with JH Wings, and they really do have a great selection of model airplanes. If you're looking to get your family or friends model airplanes for Christmas, I recommend going through JH Wings, as they have free shipping over $100, and they have fast shipping as well. If you use code MileHigh Aviation at checkout, it will give you a discount and a shout out from my YouTube channel, and the link is listed below. Thank you. Up next, we have Coral Bay International Airport by LCR Travel. This airport, I feel like, really mastered the terminals. I think the terminals have a great amount of detail, as well as the tarmac itself. You can see there's even 3D printed terminals. My suggestion to improve this airport is adding a lot more GSE. GSE really enhances the overall airport and helps it come to life. Next up, we have San Francisco International Airport by SMF_Spotting. I think this airport looks absolutely fantastic. All of the United aircrafts lined up makes for a realistic San Francisco. So the ground details are on par perfect. I think a suggestion would be adding a few more terminal details, maybe a few windows or something on the top like an HVAC system. But other than that, it looks great. Following that, we have Ironwood County Airport by Bubbles Aviation, and this is one of our first 1/200 scale model airports. And I think overall the detail on this is stunning. The GSE is awesome, the terminal is awesome, the jetways are awesome. My only suggestion would be, I think it would be cool to add a few plants or trees around the area, as well as some more terminal detail. Next up, we have the William E. Boeing International Airport by Delta Airlines 873. And this airport has a lot of detail to unpack. It has a approach system, it has runway lights, it has an ILS system, it even has a windsock. I think something that would help improve this airport is adding a little bit more terminal detail, whether it's windows or painting. Also, something that would be cool to consider for the future is purchasing Gemini jets, as they're a little more detailed. Next up, we have Summit Ridge International Airport by Triport Aviation. And this airport has a lot of detail. As you can see, the restaurant up front and the beautiful ground markings in the background, as well as the jetways. My suggestion for this airport is adding terminals where there's not, and maybe adding a little bit more detail to those blank white terminals. I think that will really enhance the overall airport. Next up, we have an airport that's pretty close to home, and this is Colorado Springs Airport by Indy Aviator. And this airport is miraculous. It has a lot of ground details, even more than my airport. I think the ground details are really what makes the airport look so realistic, but I think making it even more realistic would be adding a little more GSE. As I mentioned a few airports back, GSE really enhances the model airport and makes it look like it's coming to life. Following that, we have Jade Springs International Airport, and this is by Aviation _426. And this airport has a lot of good details. As you can see, the ILS system in the background and a little bit of GSE scattered about the airport. I think what could make this airport even better is adding a little bit more ground details to the tarmac area, as well as a little bit more GSE. Gemini Jets has some pretty good options for cheap, good GSE. Next up, we have a really good friend of mine at Neo Aviation, and we are at his St. Augustine International Airport, which is absolutely stunning. I really like the runway lights because that's something I've always wanted to do with my model airport, as well as the terminal details are outstanding. I think something that could be improved is maybe adding a little bit more ground detail, as well as some ground GSE scattered about the airport. But overall, a really nice airport. Next up, we have Surat International Airport by Airport Aesthetics, and this is by far the most detailed model airport of them all that I've ever seen. I mean, even the ground markings are outstanding. So the airport detail overall is a very strong suit of this airport. I think adding a little bit of GSE as well as a terminal going around the Air India aircrafts right here would make for an outstanding airport, but overall the detail is unmatched. We have another really good detailed airport, and this is Wisconsin Lakeside International Airport by Aviation _MKE. Now this airport is a pretty small airport, but the detail does not go unnoticed. The GSE is very present, and the foliage around the airport and all the greens look really good. I think something that would make this airport look really cool is adding boats on that little blue coastline that you have, and maybe some 1/400 scale airport workers. Next up, we have Atlantic Coast Airport by YuviStudios, who designs absolutely amazing airports. Something that I think is mastered with this airport is definitely the tarmac. The tarmac really does stand out, and all of the different colors and how straight the lines are. It looks like a real airport, as well as the foliage. I think the foliage around the airport, the greens around the airport look fantastic. I think something that would be cool to add to your airport is a little bit more GSE, because the real airports are packed with GSE, as well as a few private jets, because I feel like this airport reminds me of a private jet airport somewhere along the coast.
Hello, MileHigh Aviation fans. This is Max Productions on YouTube, and this is my submission for MileHigh's model airport review series.
So yeah, thank you for that video, Max Productions. Something I think you did really well with your airport is the apron. The apron detail looks fantastic. This almost reminds me of a small Aspen airport. I think something that you could improve on is maybe adding a little bit more GSE and maybe some details to your terminal, whether it's painting or windows or whatever else on top. But overall, a very solid airport. Following that, we have Luton International Airport by Krabi Aviation 25. And I think this runway and apron look great. I think the overall detail of the airport is fantastic. Even the small chairs inside the terminal look really cool. And I know this is a little bit more expensive of a suggestion, but I think switching over to 1/400 scale Gemini Jets models would really improve your model airport, as they are a little bit more detailed. I think if you had Gemini Jets along with that solid apron and runway, your airport would look fantastic. Next up, we have Anchorhead International Airport by Hayden's Planes, and this airport has a really solid runway and apron, as well as GSE scattered about. I think what could help improve this airport is adding some really realistic terminals and then connecting jetways to it, as that will really enhance the overall detail of the airport. Next up, we have Melbourne Airport by Melb Aviation 23. And I really like this terminal. I think this terminal and jetways are very solid. I also used 3D printing for my airport, and I think it's the best, most realistic way to go. So the terminals are definitely something that is mastered. I think adding GSE and ground markings like on the apron would really help enhance the detail even further. Following that, we have a very accurate display of San Diego International Airport by 025 Photo. And this specific airport is a Terminal 2 display, so typically your United gates and I believe American as well. And I think the airport overall has a lot of detail. I mean, every which way you look, there's something very detailed. I think a small detail that would help enhance the airport even more is adding the airline logos to each jetway. That's something that I did for my airport, and I thought it made it look a lot more realistic. Our next airport is Ghent International Airport by the Flying Av Geek. And I really like the greenery around this airport. You definitely did not hesitate adding a lot of detail, as well as that terminal. That terminal is absolutely stunning with the lights inside, even the little details inside. I think adding jetways to your already good terminal would be very beneficial, as well as a little bit of GSE scattered about the airport. Alright, our next airport is another 1/200 scale airport, and this is Aileron Island International Airport by Ultimate Aviation, which is already a really cool name for an airport. I think the small details of this airport, such as the greenery, the GSE, the cargo area, the buses, the cones, everything, I think that is a very good part of your airport. I think adding 1/200 scale people, like the workers or maybe people boarding the airplane, would be a very beneficial thing for your model airport. As well as if you were able to add a terminal, even if it was windows painted or, taped to your wall, I think it would make it look even more realistic. Our next airport is Tenerife Sur Airport, and this one has an excellent background, and this is by Planes in Pictures. So what I think is mastered with this model airport is the apron and the background. As I mentioned, the apron has a lot of detail and the background helps make the airport realistic. Something that I think would help your airport is adding palm trees and other small details on the airfield to help kind of give a dimension between the background and the foreground kind of blending together as one. Moving on to our next airport, we have North Penny's Airport by Ronald Modeler. And this is a really cool airport. Even though it's on the smaller side, sort of concise, it has a lot of detail packed into it. And the background of the airport is also really cool. I think something that could enhance your model airport is adding a little bit more trees and other types of greenery like plants and stuff to make it even more realistic. But overall, a very solid airport. Moving right along, we have Sarasota International Airport by Pilot King. And this airport is stunning. I actually got a video from him, so that helped give me a better perspective of the airport. I think something you mastered with this airport are the small details as well as the GSE. There's a plethora of GSE around the entire airport. Something you could add to your model airport is a runway and ground markings. I think that's very important for a model airport, and you can find some good ones on Google. Next up, we have San Mirato International Airport by GES Aviation. And this is our first paper airport, so all of the terminals and the models are made out of paper, which I think is really cool. You also have a solid terminal and apron going. I like your ILS system as well. I think adding a little bit more GSE and maybe some trees and other types of greenery will really help your airport. Following that, we have Lake Erie Regional Airport by Columbus Aviation. And this is a fantastic display. The apron detail is what really stands out to me. There is no lack of ground details anywhere in this airport. I also really like your private jet section. I think that's really cool and something I'd like to add to my airport one day. I think adding more GSE and terminal details such as airport windows or like an HVAC system or something on top would look really cool. Following that, and moving on to our next airport, we have Snow Peak Airport by YuviStudios. And what I like about this airport is the small details. I have not seen a winter airport this good before. Even the snow on the runway looks really good. So I think the small details is something that you mastered. I think something you could improve on is maybe adding a little bit more GSE or like snow trucks around the airport. Our next airport is KLGI by 1400 model _ airport. And what I liked about this airport was the airport layout. I think all of the terminals and runways flow really well together, as well as your diagonal runway. That's something I don't see very often. Something that I suggested is maybe adding a little bit more GSE and terminal windows, as well as maybe painting all of your terminals the same color. Heading up north, we have Seattle North International Airport by Stars 10P Aviation. And this airport detail is really good. I really like your apron detail, and it does remind me of the real life Seattle airport, which I believe is what you were going for. I think adding a little bit of greenery as well as some detail to your terminals could really help improve this airport even more. Alright, our next airport is Barndowski International Airport by Barndowski Aviation. And I think the apron detail, I can tell that you drew it all by hand, which makes it even cooler. The concrete squares is something that I wanted in my airport, and I think it helped make it a little bit more realistic. I think adding some GSE and jetways would really help your airport, as well as if you have the budget to switch to Gemini jets or NG models, because they're a little bit more realistic. But overall, a very solid airport. Our next airport is Lviv International Airport by Lviv Model Aviation. I really like the time that you put into the concrete squares and the ground markings overall. I think they all look really good. I think something that you could improve on for this model airport is adding a terminal and maybe a little bit more GSE, because a detailed terminal goes a very long way. Next up, we have Raleigh-Durham International Airport by the RDU Spotter. And I think the main highlight of this model airport is the terminal. The terminal detail is really, really good, and I do mean that. I think something that could improve your airport is adding a little bit more GSE and maybe some trees and plants scattered about the airport. Our next airport is another Darren Airport, and this is Stratford International Airport by Aviation Force. This is definitely a smaller replica, but I think you did a really good job on the runway. I think for the future, adding a little bit more GSE and using Posca pins with a ruler will really help improve your apron. Alright, moving over to New York, we have John F. Kennedy International Airport by JFK Flights. I really like your airport as well as your TWA hotel. I think that's something that you did really well on, and that's definitely a necessity for the JFK airport. I think adding a little bit more GSE and ground markings to your model airport might help improve it just a little bit. Our next airport, heading down south, is Miami International Airport by High Aviation. I think a strong suit of this airport is your entrance. That entrance is fantastic. I also really like the overall layout of the airport. Having two different runways going in two different directions is a very realistic thing that I think a lot of airports in Florida do have. My suggestion is adding a little bit more GSE as well as some jetways. And heading to the complete opposite coast, we have San Francisco International Airport by Mike's Diorama World. And this is a really good friend of mine, and he is known for his realistic airports. I mean, you can see how realistic it is. I mean, there's details and GSE everywhere. I think adding a little bit more airport workers, I'm sure they have some 1/200 scale airport workers flowing around, would look really cool for your airport. Our next airport is Soflo International Airport by Mucho Mas 25. And I really like this layout, the different terminals that you have going. I think overall it's a really solid layout. My suggestion for you is painting the airport. I'm pretty sure that's a board that you can paint, and adding some ground markings on top of it. Moving on to our next airport, we have Kahului Airport in Maui by Airframes Productions. Similar to the last airport, I really like your variety of models, and I think your runway is pretty cool too. But I would add a board if you can, even if it's smaller, because you have a nice variety of models. You just need a nice solid airport ground base, and as well as some gate markings with it. Alright, last but certainly not least, we have the 240 square foot model airport, and this is North Los Angeles International Airport by Airplane Guy 64. I can't even really do the whole mastered and suggested type of dealio because this airport is so much better than mine, but you really mastered the layout. I like the two different runways, the different terminals that we have. I also like your airline seats. I think that's a really cool part of the model airport. I think you should take the greenery and trees that you have going and make it to the next level. So add even more trees and more greenery about the airport. But overall, this is the most impressive airport I have ever seen in my life. In third place for the competition, we have St. Augustine International Airport by Neo Aviation. Overall, I really just liked the runway lights as well as the greenery and the trees all about the airport. I felt like you focused more on the landscape aspect, which a lot of people, including myself, even forget. So that's why I think you deserve top 3. In second place, we have Snow Peak Airport by YuviStudios. I really just like your roadside going along the runway. I think that's something that's really cool, as well as the snow all around your airport. I hardly ever see snow airports, and if I do, they don't exactly pull it off all that well. So I think you did fantastic with your snow, and the overall layout reminds me of a small Colorado airport, so I really like it. And in first place with the 240 square foot airport is North Los Angeles International Airport by Airplane Guy 64. I don't even have a lot to say about this that I already didn't talk about, but your airport lighting is stunning. That's something I've always wanted to do with my model airport, and hopefully I'll do in the future. But that huge layout with all the lighting and the greenery, the control tower, all the variety of airplanes is completely awesome. I think this is one of the best model airports I've ever seen, as well as the airplane flying in the background. That's something I also really liked. That does conclude today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy, and you guys all have incredible model airports, so thank you guys so much for submitting them. If you enjoyed today's video, please consider leaving a like and hitting the subscribe button to help support me. It's completely free. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.